From the very first moment, the best of boys, Todo, was introduced into Jujutsu Kaisen, I knew he was going to stand a cut above everyone else. His eccentric introduction, leading into our first fight with Megami, just set the tone from what we could come to expect with all of our time with him. And boy, has it been one of my favorite parts of the Jujutsu Kaisen journey. So today, I wanted to take some time to talk about Winter's best boy, Aoi Todo, and our first 20 episodes with him, and why I absolutely love him. Going forward, there will be some spoilers about what happens in the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, so here's your fair warning. Turn back if you haven't had the opportunity to check out this anime of the year, because trust me, you don't want the Todo experience spoiled for you. Todo is simply introduced into the Cursed Training arc as kind of an eccentric, almost meatheadish like character with a love for a very specific type of woman. And after posing his signature question,
どんな女がタイプだ?早く答えろ。男でもいいぞ。ちなみに俺はタッパとケツがでかい女がタイプです。
Nice! He goes on to threaten to beat up Megami within an inch of his life if he gives him a just boring answer. And it's kind of at this time that his peers almost seem annoyed by his behavior. Just they don't like the way he is, essentially. And after Megami's answer, Todo really gets going and starts to show us what he's capable of as a grade 1 sorcerer. And right after the fight starts, everything kind of comes to an abrupt halt. And Todo's just like, hey man, that's fine. We're leaving because I need to go meet my favorite celebrity. And from that point on, I wanted to see more of Todo. I wanted to get to know more about him. And I hadn't been hyped up this much about an anime character since my favorite Super Straw Hat, if you can guess who that guy is. It's kind of probably no secret by now, as I'm talking about Todo and the other Straw Hat, that I love these manly, eccentric, over-the-top shonen anime boys. I feel like they just add so much fun and comedic value to some of the best shows out there. But with Todo, we kind of get to find out as this goes along that he is a lot more than just a tall, woman-loving meathead. So let's fast forward a little bit to the return of Yuji and the beginning of the Kyoto Goodwill Event arc, where we kind of see all the other Kyoto students and we get to see our boy Todo back again. And we learn of some sinister machinations that begin to brew. And due to the threat that Principal Yoshinobu believes Yuji to possess as the vessel of Sukuna, they begin to hatch a plot once again to kill Yuji, and do it once and for all after exclaiming that they just think he committed suicide before. So we get to see Todo here just kind of do what Todo wants to do. He just doesn't really take any shit from anybody. He just basically says, hey, like, I'm not about this life. I don't care that you guys have all these plots and stuff brewing. It's annoying, really, and I want to go watch my celebrity on TV again. And they tell him, like, hey, you can't do that. Like, you got to be here. This is the principal. Like, record it. And then he just simply gets pissed off, tells everybody that he's annoyed by how they are as sorcerers, that they have terrible taste in women, and he just leaves. He's just like, I'm done with the whole situation, and just threatens to kill them all. He's just like, if you try to stop me, I'm just going to murder every one of you. You're out of my league. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go do what I want to do, and he's gone. So we kind of get to infer that, I mean, Todo, he's a man of character, right? Like, he doesn't have any time for these like shenanigans and underhanded tactics, and he prefers to live a life that's not boring, and that's based on how he judges people, and he's just not going to let people tell him what to do. Once the battle begins, we arrived at our fated meeting between Todo and Yuji, and this is where something truly special begins, and we really get to see the depth of Todo's character some more. And Todo just kind of goes on to do what Todo does, and beat Yuji into the dirt, just kind of leaving him sitting there bloody by a tree. But in true shonen protagonist style, Yuji just gets back up, shakes it off like it's not really a big deal, and he's ready to go all over again. And this is where Todo gets more interested, and he poses his signature question to Yuji. And Yuji's kind of confused by it, but he's like, all right, whatever, I'll answer. And because of his answer, this is where Todo's demeanor towards him changes from being hostile to giving us one of my favorite moments out of the whole show, where we switch from the battlefield straight into a slice of life anime. And we just bro out with Yuji and Todo for a solid like 5 minutes in high school, where we get some ramen, they talk about girls, they do all this like fun stuff that's just happening while this exam is going on, and it's so much fun, and it's just such a good little moment we get. And we flip back to the battlefield, and Yuji's just confused as heck as Todo's exclaiming that they're best friends now. And he's just like, what do you mean, man? Like, we just met. Like, how is that even possible? And Todo's crying because he's so moved by his answer. And so now Todo begins to teach Yuji more about cursed energy, and this is where we really start to see how Todo kind of views the world and how deep his understanding of some of the stuff in Jujutsu Kaisen's world is. And it's really cool because Todo tells Yuji, hey, you're looking at things all wrong. You need to be approaching cursed energy as one whole that involves the mind, body, and soul, not just the way you're looking at it now. And as Yuji begins to realize his full potential, Todo, we kind of see, is no longer this eccentric meathead that we thought he was earlier, but now we kind of understand how deep his knowledge of jujutsu goes in the world, and just how understanding he is with combat, as well as kind of like the intellect level he has. And it almost comes off as philosophical to a degree as well. And Todo, we kind of know already, just doesn't want to have a boring and average life, and he starts to feel like Yuji is not going to let him have one. This is who he's been waiting for. And one of the best parts about this whole thing is we still don't even know what his curse technique is. He still hasn't used it up to this point. And he's just gotten by because his combat intellect and his power is just so off the charge that he doesn't even need it. And we kind of go back to some of the other battles between a lot of our other characters here. And I really want to take a moment to appreciate some of the other characters here, even though we're mainly talking about Todo. I mean, we've got a panda who's also a gorilla, who's also part something else, and like a mechanical Jujutsu sorcerer, and all kinds of really other cool characters. And I think this series does a really amazing job of just giving us a lot of really cool characters. As the remainder of the fights between the students come to a close, we start to see the real threat of this arc with the special grade curse spirit Hanami showing up. And as a few of the students try to take care of Hanami, they quickly become outclassed, and our new best duo show up to save the day. And as soon as they get there, Todo immediately puts Yuji's newfound growth to the test by saying, hey, I'm not going to help you until you can land the Black Flash technique. Now, this is a technique that is supposedly pretty difficult to pull off, as we kind of understand through Nanami's explanation and how he's only landed so many in a row. And Yuji attempts to land the technique, but he fails due to his emotions being all out of whack. And Sensei Todo steps in and literally slaps Yuji back to reality.
My friend.
And explains to him that, you know, emotion's a powerful tool, but you can't let it envelop you and control you, or else you're not going to be able to win the fights you need to as a Jujutsu sorcerer. And this once again just demonstrates Todo's deep understanding and control over Jujutsu. So after the pep talk from Todo, Yuji gets back into it and manages to land his first Black Flash. And we really now get started with the fight as Todo joins in with Yuji to take on Hanami as the new best of friends. And here's where Mappa really just starts to shine through too. Like the animation in this fight scene and in the next couple episodes was just so over the top. It was so incredible, and it was just a simple like just joy to watch. So as the fight kind of goes on and a miscalculation happens by Todo, it's finally time to reveal Todo's curse technique, the Boogie Woogie. And I don't know what I expected Todo's curse technique to be called, really, or for what it was going to be capable of, for that matter. But this just fits so well, I feel like, for Todo's character and what we've come to understand him as. And as he kind of reveals, the Boogie Woogie is a simple technique. It allows him to switch places with his opponent that's in the range of his cursed energy. But it requires the clap of his hands to activate. And Todo intentionally tells Hanami this. And he just says, hey, it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter if he knows what our powers can do or not, because we're just going to beat the shit out of him before he even figures out what to do about it. So they proceed to lay the smackdown on Hanami, but Todo really doesn't do anything in a boring manner, as we've kind of come to understand. So as we're getting this montage of him getting just beat up all over the place and Hanami's just getting destroyed, Todo just starts JoJo posing while clapping his hands. And just when we think Hanami has figured it out, Todo claps his hands and nothing happens, allowing Yuji to land another black flash. And Hanami gets caught up in the thrill of the fight as this goes on, and Todo realizes this and understands this, and he starts to lure Hanami into a trap by kind of explaining, you're not thinking fully about what my technique can switch places with and can't switch places with. Where are we going through this? Like, you need to be thinking about all these things. And then he uses Boogie Woogie to swap places with the playful cloud that was left in the river and just lays a huge beatdown on Hanami. And then we realize that Todo has been playing 5D chess this entire time and has been in a whole nother league. And it's insane because Todo makes all of these split-second decisions in under a second. He runs through all of Hanami's powers, he runs through the scenarios, and he says, all right, I know exactly what am I going to do, exactly what's going to happen, and where I'm going with everything like this. And Boogie Woogie is just such an awesome technique and concept. It's so simple, and the possibilities to it are just endless. With Todo's insane tactical intellect and jujutsu understanding, it just elevates this technique to a whole new level. And up to this point in the anime, this is all we really know about Todo. He's been fleshed out so well, I feel like, over the course of the first season, and he's become so much more than what he was introduced as. He's an eccentric jujutsu sorcerer who is shown to have a deep philosophical side, an insane tactical intellect, and this drive to keep moving forward in a way that doesn't make him bored. He's become best friends with Yuji in an instant over women, and the bromance that develops between them in the most recent arc has been some of the most entertaining and hilarious moments to watch in the series so far. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from Todo as this season comes to a close, and when we get our inevitable Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. But until then, I'll be spreading the gospel of Winter 2021's best boy, Aoi Todo. Thanks again for hanging out with me today as I just kind of gushed about my favorite anime boy. Please drop a comment down below letting me know who some of your favorite anime boys are, what you've thought about this season of Jujutsu Kaisen so far, and anything else you'd like to see me cover as far as anime goes on the channel. And also, guys, please do like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. It really does help me out a lot. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.